And Mohan actually do the work. You're in.
Well, I tell you what, I can work on the AC.
You can? Give me the 310 times.
Okay.
We'll do it. We'll finish it outside.
Yeah, I got that taken care of. That's probably the easiest thing I can do all years. I'm thinking we need, picking up kids or dropping off kids or whatever.
No, he's pretty easy. I just got a double booking tonight.
I know.
Hey, is Ray coming?
That is black.
How you doing, Carl?
Otherwise,
Okay, I'm just gonna put it here then. That's okay.
but
Sorry.
I'm hanging on, man. Let's get it on.
Ready. Oh, there's our sign.
6 p.m. We'll call this regular village board meeting to order. Y'all, please join me in a moment of silence. And a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you take the roll?
Trustee Nice.
Present.
Trustee Try. Here. Trustee Ferguson.
Present.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Gerger. Trustee Fletcher. Here. Village President Kimsey.
Present. Are there any public announcements this evening?
Les Morgan with the Veterans Organizations. VFW is having a Halloween party for kids on October the 28th from 1 to 4, and then from 7 till whenever the adults will be having their party there. Thank you.
Thanks, Les. You're amazing.
Any other? Any public comments on agenda topics? Tina, you were talking on something on the agenda or just general business? About the green, but we do have that still on the,
Under old business?
so, go ahead. We have the green program on. Yes. Go ahead.
I have a few comments,
You could get into the microphone.
questions. First of all, I guess I would like to ask how the warrant process works, and if, once somebody submits an invoice, it's placed on the warrant list, and then for the following meeting, you all approve it, and then the invoices are dispersed. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. Pay the bills.
So, in here, obviously, about the RFPs, the green program, we used to have the contract. So, the August 8th meeting is what I have questions about. From the date of the storm, June 29th, to August 3rd, which would be the cutoff for the warrant list for the August 8th meeting. I assume it's safe to say you've all seen it since you voted on it. Brown Storm Service was listed on that warrant list with an invoice for $2.8 million. He was paid $2.8 million for, at the very best, absolute best, 36 days of work. That's from June 29th to August 3rd, the cutoff for the August 8th warrant list. So sorry. We all work long hours through that time, as I'm sure you all know. 36 days is every day. That is the holiday, that's Sundays, weekends. Again, we all work long hours. To try and put that into perspective a bit, if they worked 36 days straight, that's $77,000 a day that they made. He It was mentioned that he had employed upwards of 50 people. He wasn't quite sure when he was asked that question, and he just submitted a $2.8 million invoice. I would hope he'd know exactly what that number was. I'm coming to you because obviously I want to be considered for the proposals. I'm not the lowest bidder. And also to kind of put things into perspective, AgriCycle, the company who disposed of all three of those massive piles of debris, charges the village $308,000. Brown, as National Tree Care.
Tina, can I ask you, rather than disparage other vendors of the village, that if you would like to speak to,
Numbers.
you know, what it is your comment is?
I would like to be considered, and I find it considerably excessive what he has charged you for that. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I would like to be considered. Please take into consideration the fact that he didn't hold up his end of the contract. I'm his competitor in this scenario, and I'm just asking you to consider our company for the RFPs. We have served Chatham well. We are not the low bidders on paper. I submitted my bid with a base pay and with a 3% increase each year for inflation. I don't have a lot of room to play around with. I bid what I thought was the lowest possible bid I could do, and again, increased it by 3% each year. I'm not the lowest bidder, but I'm very confident that in the long run, I will be the lowest bidder and the best choice for the village. So please, when you're considering your vote on the proposals, just try and keep in mind who you're doing business with and what's the best scenario for the village. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment on agenda topics? Hearing none, we have a couple of, well, we have the trifecta of accounting knowledge tonight. With audit reports, actual reports, and real estate tax levies. So between Sikich and Lauterbach, did you guys flip the coin outside to see who gets to go first?
No?
Any takers?
Anyone?
Paper, rock, scissors? All right, Chad.
Tag, you're it.
I'll be brief. So, got a couple of reports you should have received. I think the packet had prelim reports that you received last week, but we finalized and you got those in front of you today. Thanks for the opportunity to work with the village again. Thank you. And appreciate all the help that we get from Kayla and Megan and the rest of the staff during the process. So I'll go through these real quick. Be happy to answer any questions. I know you've had a chance to look at it since last week. Independent auditors report, the report is your comprehensive annual financial report. So you provide this to the Government Finance Officers Association. This goes above and beyond the basic requirements. There's an introductory section that's included in your financials, the basic financial statements, which are required, and then you have statistical information. So those introductory and statistical information, they're over and above the basic requirements. The statistical information has a lot of good trend data in it, tax levy information, debt information, demographics, things like that. So a lot of good information. Included in the basic financial statements is our independent auditors report. Independent auditors report is an unmodified opinion that basically means that we believe that based on our audit procedures, the information included in this report is fairly presented. Just a couple of things that I wanted to point out, some highlights. This year there was a new standard that was required, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years, GASB 87 that dealt with leases. There was one lease that did rise to the level of being reported in accordance with GASB 87. So we did have one audit adjustment in here that does record that in accordance with GASB 87. There were a couple other leases that were smaller that were below the threshold to be required to be reported. And so we have those on the past effect schedule, the adjustments that we didn't make for the audit. So couple other items in here. Your financial position on page 9 improved both on your governmental activities and your business type activities. At the bottom of page 9, third line from the bottom, the change in net position. Your governmental activities improved by about $3.1 million this year over last year, and your business type activities improved by about $157,000. So position improved over last year. This report also includes the Police Pension Trust Fund. The Pension Trust Fund also had a positive increase this year, and this year they were required to transfer their assets to the statewide investment fund, so those are being invested at the statewide level now. I'd be happy to answer any specific questions you might have. Kind of a brief summary.
Tell the type of opinion is
Unmodified?
unmodified, which is the right one. No material findings, no deficiencies
The other-
identified.
Right. The other item that we have for you is the packet here, the auditor's communication to the Board of Trustees. Included in this packet is just a cover letter. There's the required communications, which we indicate in here that you did implement the GASB 87 for leases this year. There's some estimates that we evaluate, and we list those estimates during the process. No difficulties encountered. Corrected and uncorrected misstatements are included in this letter. I mentioned those. One adjustment that we had for GASB 87, and then some past adjustments that we had that were considered immaterial. No other consultations with other accountants, and then no findings this year. So
Again. Anyone with questions for Chad and our audit firm? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time and getting earlier this year. Thank you for accommodating our compressed schedule. Tony.
Good evening, members of the board. I know I was out to present to all of you last year. My name is Anthony Goodvillis with Lockbach and Avon, representing the actuary department. We work every year with Kayla and the Police Pension Board to complete a couple actuarial reports, which I'll go over with you today. So the presentation is up there, and I passed out hard copies for you as well. Feel free to stop me with questions at any point. So we'll get into the results, starting with the first slide, giving you the recommended contribution for the Police Pension Fund this year. That number is $666,863. Represents an increase of about $10,000 year over year. We'll get into the details behind that in just a moment. Your unfunded liability, a couple line items below, is about $4.5 million as of the fiscal year end, April 30, 2023. And that represents the difference between your actuarial liability and your actuarial value of assets. So at April 30, 2023, your funded percent is about 71.75%. So looking in pretty good shape. Following slide gives that reconciliation of the change to our contribution this year. Every year we have expected changes, and on top of that, additional gains or losses that come in attributable to the line items we show here. Salary increases compared to expectation, actuarial experience, the change in demographics. We got a slide later on for the plan changes discussed here, and the impacts from investment returns as well as contribution experience are broken out for you too. Recommended contribution breakdown, we got two pieces that make up our contribution. First is going to be employer normal costs, represents the cost of active members accruing an additional year of service. Second part is amortization of any unfunded liability designed to pay off that unfunded liability balance we mentioned earlier over the funding policy in place. Next, a more specific look at demographic changes. One newly hired member and a couple terminations. Outside of that, no major movement, and the impacts of each of those items are broken out for you as well. Next, an age service breakdown for the active member population. We've got highlighted that bottom right area, highlighting any Tier 1 members who are 50 years old with 20 years of service. That represents your police officers who are retirement eligible as of the fiscal year end, could retire at any point and begin collecting a benefit of their own. We pair that analysis with the following slide, giving you the member counts in terms of active versus inactive members, as well as a projection of benefits over a short-term period. So pairing that age service breakdown we just looked at, knowing that some active members could retire soon here, with the fact that the inactive members will get their regular COLA increase each year. Put those pieces together, we're projecting about a 66% increase in benefits over a 5-year period, about 120% over a 10-year period. Next, that plan change line item we touched on earlier. So a lot of words on this slide, but I'll try to keep it as short as I can here. So the first is in regards to a new provision allowing for potential benefits going to a surviving spouse for a member married after retirement. So previously, if a police officer was retired and married after retirement, that spouse would not be eligible for benefits, but now under the provisions listed there, there is potential that that spouse could be eligible for some benefits. And the second bullet point is coming from an opinion from the Illinois Department of Insurance related to Tier 2 disabled members, particularly in regards to their COLA increases. So it's a change in how their initial COLA increase that they're granted is calculated. And next, just to look at the value of assets in the plan at the fiscal year end, about $10.67 million in assets. The return for the year was about 2.13%. And some risk management metrics we like to monitor over time. That first bullet point essentially is telling you how much money is expected to go out of the plan each year versus what's expected to come in. So you're paying out about 4.6% of the plan in benefits each year, compared to the 6.25% expected return on investments that we're currently using. So because that 6.25 comes in above your 4.6% that you're paying out, that's a good sign of a healthy plan going forward. Tells us if you hit your investment earnings assumption for the year, that the investment earnings on their own will be enough not only to cover all the benefits for that year, but also add additional value to your plan. Tells us the money's sticking around long term as intended. And at the bottom there is just a sensitivity on that rate of return assumption, giving you a look at what the contribution would come in at under various assumptions. Next, we have a look at our alternative contribution, which is our calculation using our assumptions, but it's designed to mimic Illinois state statute funding parameters, which features a 90% funding target by the year 2040 versus our recommended contribution is looking at 100% over a 15-year period. And the last couple slides get into the GASB 6768 reporting, which is used for audit purposes. So we'll start with the 5-year look at the employer contribution history. Shows you the employer contributions or the amounts the village actually contributed. In the middle there, the actuarially determined contribution is what we would expect to come in. On the right is a ratio between the two. So you can see over a 5-year period, you're putting in right at the recommended amounts, just short of 100%. So in great shape here. Village is certainly doing their part to take into consideration the amounts requested from the pension board and taking good care of them for the long term. That essentially wraps up anything that I've got prepared, so I'm happy to take any further questions. Sure.
Because it's been merged with the state, how has that affected the investment process in the fund?
Sure. So prior to consolidation, the fund would have had their own investment advisor, and they're able to have a little bit more say in how funds are invested. Now being consolidated, it's all pooled into one account with all the other downstate police pension funds as well. So it opens a little bit more of a door for more aggressive investment opportunities, but it takes away that ability for the pension board to control how the money is invested.
So what's it currently invested in? The breakdown as a whole.
Yeah, I don't know that I have it off the top of my head, but it is out there on IPOPIF's website. So it's certainly a higher percentage in stocks than it was previously.
We have no control over that whatsoever.
Correct. Yeah, they'll have some money that they hold locally to pay benefits and expenses, but any money that's going to be invested is going to be held through the state there.
Thank you.
Any others? Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. Tax levy sheet.
That dude's smart.
Do I have an overhead? Did you?
You don't have to pull that up. That was just, yeah, up there. I'm just gonna read the memo that we do every year, and Dave's gonna tag on with me on the same discussion. So up on board docs, we have the estimated tax levy fact sheet to look at, basically showing what we're estimating the requested levy to be. So I've arrived at an estimate of $1,815,420 for the total 2023 tax levy in order for the village to capture all eligible property tax dollars and new growth within the village, an increase of $196,071 or 12.11% over the previous year's levy was computed. This would produce an estimated tax rate of 0.4740 per $100 of assessed equalized valuation. This is the same rate as the 2022 rate. The final levy will be calculated by the county early next year and will be lower than the above estimate. In order to capture all new growth within the village, it is necessary to estimate the levy higher than what is anticipated to be received. A tax levy fact sheet was attached on board docs showing the village's assessed equalized valuation, tax rate, and levy back to 2014. Included in the levy is the amount requested by the Chatham Police Pension Board, which Anthony just spoke about. That number does match what he presented in the PowerPoint. And the amount of the request was determined by that actuarial valuation completed by Lauterbach and Amon. Since the total estimated 2023 levy is more than 105% of the previous year's extended levy, an announcement of the estimated tax levy and that the truth in taxation procedures have been instituted is required at this evening's board meeting. Truth in taxation procedures require a hearing to be held. I'm sorry, this isn't for this board meeting. This is for the board meeting that we passed the actual tax levy. The hearing will be held prior to the board meeting on December 12th. A hearing notice will be prepared and sent to the Clarion for publication on Wednesday, November 22nd. And then during that board meeting on December 12th, the tax levy ordinance will be passed. Along with that will be a resolution abating the taxes for the 2014 electric alternative revenue refunding bonds that will need to be passed as well, which is also a yearly occurrence. So this is just showing like a preliminary draft. It should not change what the levy is going to request in December, but I just wanted to get this out of the way because I have other obligations to attend to early next month, which is normally when I would present
Well, you
this.
think ahead. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so that's all I have for that. Is there any, Dave, you want to kind of explain?
Does everybody remember our lecture from last year on how this all works?
Yeah, we're gonna collect more taxes this year at the same rate because the value of the property in the community has gone up, aka all the new construction. So we have to announce to the public that we're actually gonna collect more taxes, even though the individual's tax rate is the exact same.
Somebody, it's just like the first year.
Wow. Drop the mic, I'm out of here.
He's done.
You said 7:55. You got 30 more minutes.
Thanks for coming, man.
32 more minutes. You don't have to say anything else, though. You're done now. But yeah.
I am impressed, so.
Yeah. It's
You'd be my favorite trustee for the night, that you remembered that.
For the night.
But yeah,
Whoa.
every year we levy a total dollar amount, which gets applied to everything in the village. All the new stuff has never been taxed before, for real estate tax purposes, so that's what all the increase is. Kayla has to ask for all of it. She has to ask for enough to make sure that we cover everything that came into town with whatever they get assessed at. So as we get closer to December, there'll be a real intimidating looking notice that gets put in the Clarion. It's got a real thick black border around. You'll get all kinds of questions. It says, why is the village raised my property taxes 12%? The answer is, we're not. The rate's going to be just about the same as it has been for the last decade.
Literally.
And the things that,
Upset you stole his thunder.
no, I'm impressed. I'm proud. Like a child here sitting. But yeah, this is a little bit earlier than we normally have this discussion, but thanks, Kayla. Anybody else have any questions? You've trained
No, I
it.
think Tim
You've trained
did
him
a
well.
Great job summing it up.
I'm just gonna
Yeah. Just one sentence, it
I
does,
didn't read
yeah.
it. I feel very
You're
nervous.
not red at all.
As pink as the shirt, you're getting closer.
I'm trying.
We keep talking if it's going to push you over the edge.
John's just quiet.
All right. Under old business, ordinance 2331, amending the village code regarding the village green program. We have new bids. We have a new proposal that Kayla covered in the committee. I want to get this to the floor just to be voted down so that we can get this old proposal off of our agenda. So trustee Ferguson's made a motion,
Second.
second by trustee Charo. This is fees, Mr. Clerk. Take a roll. And again, the recommendation here is to say no.
Yes. Trustee Charo.
No.
Trustee Ferguson.
No.
Trustee Fletcher.
No.
Trustee Nice.
No.
Trustee Try.
No. All right, we have that off of old business. Under new business is a resolution approving the purchase of a dump truck for the electric department. Can I have a motion to bring this to the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion of a second.
I'll second that.
Second by trustee Fletcher. This is a 2024 Dodge Ram 3500 4x4, $84,999. Any discussion regarding? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Fletcher.
Yes.
Trustee Try.
Yes.
Trustee Nice.
Abstain.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Item 2 is a resolution approving the purchase of lighting from Taza Supplies. Can I have a motion to bring this to the floor?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Nice made a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Try. $42,496. Pat, where all these are going to where?
You're going to, which diamond?
Community Park, 1, 2, and 3. The LEDs.
They're LEDs,
Yes. So any questions?
paid for by our refund money from IMEA.
There's
Budget question.
any other questions? Now that we've answered all the questions you didn't know you had. Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Nice.
I vote yes.
Trustee Trustee Fletcher.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Try.
Yes.
Item 3 is an ordinance approving a low bid for a fencing project. A motion to bring this to the floor.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Charo, second by trustee Nice. This is bid out Amco fencing at the lowest bid, $36,660. Any discussion? It's a lot of numbers tonight, Fletcher.
It's the fence that runs all the way along the road between Parkview Estates and our property.
Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Fletcher.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Nice.
Yes.
Trustee Try.
Yes.
Item 4 is an ordinance amending the liquor code to add temporary event license. Can I have a motion to bring this to the floor?
I'll make the motion on that.
Trustee Ferguson's made a motion, second by trustee Charo. Current liquor code provisions allow for special event license for not-for-profit, fraternal organizations. They don't allow for any type of temporary or special event licenses for a for-profit business. We would like to add this temporary one and set the number of those available at 1. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Motion to bring the consent agenda to the floor.
Make that motion.
Trustee Fletcher's made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Try. Any discussion regarding the warrants or the minutes? Hearing none. Mr. Clerk?
Trustee Fletcher.
Yes.
Trustee Try.
Yes.
Trustee Nice.
Yes.
Trustee Ferguson.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
And then For general public information, we do issue a proclamation each year that says recommending trick-or-treating hours, and whereas the observation of Halloween traditions will bring many of the children of Chatham out trick-or-treating, and the Village of Chatham wants Halloween to be as safe and as enjoyable as possible for those taking part. Villages is recommending to the parents of children taking part in the trick-or-treating that Halloween be observed on Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, from 4:30 to 8 p.m. And those who want to be visited by trick-or-treaters leave their porch light on. So a recommendation to all from the village.
And to all a good night.
To all
Wrong holiday.
a sweet, sugary
You can still have a
night.
good night.
Are there any public comments on other village business? Vern will tell you that there's also a trunk or treat on that same very night, that if you want to bring your kids over to the train depot, the fire department and the police department are co-hosting their own spot where you can get a lot in very short order. So
I think that's awesome, Vern.
Great idea.
4:30 to 8, Vern? Cool.
It's gonna be the whole
like they
time.
planned it with our recommendation. So, all right, next village board meeting will be 6 p.m. on October 24th. No need for a closed session for the board. Take motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion,
I'll second the motion.
second by trustee Nice. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Being adjourned.
Let's go. Cool papers.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
That looks like a ginormous sheet of paper, man.
Very large.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean,
A budget for that? Is it a budget?
Kinda like that.
We're not
All
first.
right,
I
it
think
is,
so. All right.
is everybody,
Take it down, pass it around.
it's 6:31. Time to call the committee of the whole to order.
Whole committee.
Can I have roll?
Trustee Nice.
present.
Trustee Try.
Here.
Trustee Ferguson.
Here.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Gerger. Trustee Fletcher.
He's available.
Village President Kimsey.
Present.
Any public comments on agenda topics? Hearing none. Can I have a motion to bring the consent agenda to the table?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Knight has made a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Fletcher has seconded the motion. Any discussion on the consent agenda? All righty. Can I have all in favor of approving the minutes for Tuesday, September 12th? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. No old business, new business. We have a CMT engineering update.
Go get him, Tiger.
Now, my assessed valuation of my house did go up.
Township. Contact the township assessor.
But it does mean I'm paying more taxes for Chatham. I'm just letting you know, I'm happy to do my part.
There you go.
Jim's got a bad report to give.
Yeah, how much you gonna, yeah, what else you got for us today?
News.
Can you be faster than the accountants?
What?
Can you be faster than the accountants?
Faster?
Just joking.
Okay, thanks. See you next month.
No, you don't get by that easy.
Okay. Couple of items, some of these things we've heard before, some of them maybe some new items, but we'll just run through some of the things that we've been working on. West Walnut drainage, talking with Dustin, looks like our sidewalk contractor will be working on that here probably next week or so, fixing some drainage issues and washout of driveways, on West Walnut, on the north side, where it transitions from an urban to a rural section. There's no real provision for the transition from curb and gutter to an open ditch, and it's washing out driveways, resulting in like a 1-foot hole cut across the driveway apron. So we're going to concrete those in, provide some channelization in the curb for getting the drainage to the inlets. So getting that done here in the next week or so. Did have a little interesting one on West Mulberry. There was a inquiry by a property owner on some drainage issues associated with existing grate that was more of a floor drain than a roadway grate in his front yard. There's some tile that runs through there that provides surface drainage. Upon investigating that, Dustin and myself came up with a solution on that, and as we looked at, there was quite a bit of water going through that system, and it hadn't rained in a while, which piqued our interest on that. Dustin dispatched the water crew and found a water main break that was leaking directly into the storm sewer system undetected. So made those repairs, and loss of water has ceased in that area. So we do have building roof repairs bid, out to bid, advertised on the village website. That is due to insurance claims associated with the damage, hail damage earlier this year. So it's 12 buildings in total. What we'll do is look at the bids that do come in, and we'll prioritize the funds available to the improvements that are needed associated with those roofing repairs. So move forward with that one. This winter, we will be working with the street crew as well as identifying our next roadway projects within the village. And also one transition will be oil and chip will be part of the bidding process. In the past, we worked with the street crew, and the street crew worked with the township on that. At this point, we're moving forward and incorporating that completely into the MFT program, and the village will identify which streets for oil and chip, and that'll be bid out directly by the village for those services. Working with both Pat and Dustin on some pickleball activities, looking at some funding sources, opportunities associated with possible rehab of the existing courts at South Park, and then possible new courts at South Park, and pulling together some documents and some cost associated with that to put us in a better position for funding, and also working with the Friends of the Pickleball Court group there, if availability and funding does come through on that. Plummer Boulevard plans, overlay plans, we have those finished. We'll be submitting those to IDOT this week for their review and concurrence. That'll probably be about a month and a half long process. So we will bid that out late this fall, early winter. So we're starting first thing in the spring. And last one I have is actually two more. Signals at Plummer and Peachtree. So we've contracted with TCC for a new camera system at that location to replace the detector loops that are faulty. That ends up being the most economical system on that. And then also with Bodine for the installation on that. So as soon as the equipment shows up at the...
All the parts came in. I contacted Bodine. They're going to get with TCC and schedule when they want to do the work. But I would imagine then sometime in the next 2 weeks.
So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, the signals at the front door of the high school work a lot better than...
A lot better.
That'll be sweet.
So... And the last one that we're working on with Pat is, we did the building demo site on the square, looking at the remaining funds. Village received a $200,000 grant for that work. We're looking at reappropriating the remaining funds on that to advance architectural concepts and sketches, for potential building sites at that location, and working with the village on that. So first need to go back through the grant administrators to see if that is a viable or appropriate use of the remaining funds, since the bids did come in so well, from our original estimate. So other than that, that's all I got.
Any questions?
On the roofs, I know this is silly, but on the roofs, are you trying to get one builder to do everything?
So we're trying to get one builder to do everything. The thing is with roofing, on the surface, we know what the damages are.
However, underneath, we don't. Every time that you do pull a roof apart, it's like, oh, well, this sheeting is bad and we need to replace this and that and so forth. So what we're gonna do is take the insurance money that's available, prioritize the list of the 12 buildings that we have within the village that the insurance claim was filed under. You know, Pat will work with the insurance company, see if there is any recourse, if the costs are over that, but there's probably some existing conditions that we'll have to deal with as well, as part of that. So we'll just work through that. But the intent is, you know, one bidder, because we don't know, are we gonna release 10 buildings? Are we gonna release 5 buildings? So it would be nice to be able to kind of pick and choose, but you know, if we selected several roofing companies, then it's like, well, maybe we can give you one, maybe we can't. Maybe we can give you 2, maybe we can't. So trying to divvy that up and keep it fair. It's one price, you know, per site, and then we're just gonna, okay, site 1, site 2, site 3 until we run out of money.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Village manager.
Well, I handed the sheet out to you. It's the results of the bids that we opened last week. We had 2 bidders, National Tree Care and Brown Storm Service. They were the only 2 bidders for both the leaf bag and for the branch and limb pickup. In the spreadsheets you see in front of you, I have what was in last year's contract that Brown's Storm Service did in the very first column, and what his prices were for the year. Last year, what have I got there? Oh, and then I turn around and divided it out by how much it was per month. Okay. And since he only did it for 1 year, he charged $4,432.33 for picking up the leaf bags, average per month, and branches was $13,659.33. And we rebid it, and then those bids were rejected. And you can see that is the third line down in each of the columns. So we had a price of, well, for rejected monthly average for the leaf bags was $5,208. And the rejected monthly average for the limb and branch was $20,000. With the new bids, 4-year bid for National Tree was $241,814 with an average of $5,037 a month. For the 6-year bid for the same company, it went up to $373,874 with an average of $5,192.69 per month. Brown's was $240,000. That worked out to $5,000 a month. And then their 6-year bid was $360,000, also $5,000 a month. So they were the low bidder there, and they were $208 below the rejected bid. When we moved down to the branch and tree limb, Nationals for a 4-year bid was $853,461. That monthly average was $17,780 in change. Their 6-year bid was $1,319,559, and their 6-month average was $18,327.21. Brown's was for a 4-year, $672,000. That worked out to $14,000 a month, and their 6-year bid was $1,008,000, and that worked out to $14,000 a month. So in both cases, Brown Tree Service was the low bidder, and they were quite a bit lower than what the rejected bids were. They were very close on the leaf bag pickup with National, but they were quite a bit lower on the branch and limb pickup. So the staff recommendation is to hire Brown Storm Service for both services for a 6-year contract, since there's no difference between what is his his rate is for a 4-year or a 6-year. And we would like to have an ordinance prepared for that in 2 weeks. But one of the things that I got Kayla here to talk about is, we had proposed that we're going to have to raise the green fee. We've got a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation to show you the history of the green fee and where those numbers are at and what our new recommendation going forward is.
Okay, so this is basically the same PowerPoint as last time, except with updated numbers with, like Pat said, the new bid I entered in there. So the first one, we already talked about this last time, just showing the history of the green fee and where it's at now, which is $4 a month per customer. And then the next slide, I have just what what our expenses are in the yard waste fund. And then I put at the bottom a little asterisk showing that basically the slides that I'm going to present you, the expenses are estimated based on an inflationary increase of 3% on the expenses listed above, except the leaf bag and branch pickup, since those would be fixed costs for 6 years in the new bid. So if you'll remember from last time, like I said, same format. The first graph there is showing that where our cash would be if we did not increase the fee at all. So you're going from the beginning of this year at 193,000 to 97,000. And then if you scroll a little bit down, Dan, I have at the bottom where our 3 months cash reserve should be in each scenario. So that's still okay, but what we're proposing is to, instead of spend that cash down that far, let's not get us down that far. So in the next graph, it's showing that we are proposing to increase the fee to $5 in January with accepting the new bids, and your cash would be at $122,579.
So we're still spending down.
Still
reserves.
spending down,
Okay.
yep. So then the next slide is showing if you were to go into next year with no increase in fee, your cash would be all the way down to $7,486, which basically is saying you have to increase the fee in order to accept these new bids. And then the graph next to it is showing the next year with that $5 per customer per month, showing that cash more stabilized with that increase to $5. Still spending down a little bit, but not at that much of an astronomical amount as the previous slide showed. And then the next slide, I basically projected this out for 6 years, so I tried my best with that. It's not too easy to do that for 6 years, but
There's salaries, there's
yeah,
expenses and stuff.
yeah.
But we do have a set number for the next 6 years for branch and leaf back.
Yeah,
The other variant stuff is our staff.
Yes, staff and just maintenance and things like that. So FY26, you're still going to stay at $5 per customer per month. You'll see it still is pretty stabilized, still spending down a little bit. But since we're continuing that down spending trend that we see in the last graphs, I think in FY27, you're going to want to increase that fee again to $6 per customer. I also have in that scenario that we may need to lease or talk about leasing a new street sweeper at that point. The street sweeper will be 8 years old. And that can be discussed at that point when that year rolls around. So again, your cash is staying pretty stable with the increase in expenses that had to do with the inflation that we talked about. And then the next slide is FY28 and FY29. No, you're good. Keep going. There you go. So this is still keeping that fee at $6 per customer per month. As you can see, that cash is staying stable, and at the bottom there is where our cash should be. It's a little bit higher than our 3 months reserve, but again, these are all estimates projected out many years, so I feel like it's better to be a little more conservative on where we're going to be in cash at that point, not knowing the unknown. And then the last slide is showing 2030, which is when the 6-year contract is going to end, And again, your cash is pretty stable at that point, but I'm just saying maybe reassess at that point, keep it at $6, but we'll talk about what we need to do for
Going out for new contracts.
new contract to talk about, yeah, for what we would need to do with the fee at that point. So the last slide, I think, is just the summary of the new proposal. So I kind of showed the same couple bullets from last time, showing from FY20 to FY23 was a 12% increase in cost. The new increase in cost for the bid that Pat was talking about that we're recommending is only a 5% increase in cost. So you're going from $218,000 per year for both the leaf bag branch pickup to $228,000 per year with the new bid. And then at the bottom, summarizing what I kind of showed in the graphs, $4 per month to $5 per month starting in January 2024, then $5 per month to $6 per month starting in May 2026, which would be the beginning of fiscal year 27. That's all I got.
We would like to prepare an ordinance for you to vote on that also, but feel free to discuss it. If you have any questions for either of us, we're more than happy to answer those.
Or if you think of anything between now and then.
Prepare the ordinance. Looks like the bids got a lot better.
They did.
I'm assuming everyone will want 6 years rather than 4.
I like the 6 years, especially because it
It'd be
doesn't go up.
way more intelligent to select the 6 years.
It looks good on the budget numbers too. Projections, the projections are nice.
For 6 years.
Do we need to move, do you need a vote?
No.
No, prepare
Just a
both ordinances and we'll
recommendation.
vote on it in 2
Yeah, we'll
weeks.
vote on
You know,
2 weeks.
unless there's a lot of opposition, we're going to prepare an ordinance to accept both of those that we've discussed. We'll have one for the branch, one for the leaf bag, and then raising the green fee.
I do have one question.
Okay?
On both of the proposals, I know you've got an average on here.
Uh-huh.
Do they both move up? Is that what I'm saying? Or does Brown stay the same all 6 years? Or
All 6 years.
All 6
That's
years,
what I was
he
thinking.
used the same rate.
Okay, so he doesn't actually go up, he just stays the same rate. So that keeps our cash flow stable too.
That's why it's easy to recommend the 6 over a 4.
All right, anything further? We have more?
No, that's about it.
Okay.
Jim covered a lot of stuff. You got anything, Dustin, you want to talk about? Fern? The county? Huh? You have. So we're
Great
good.
job, everyone.
All right, yeah.
They
no.
do, I have a great staff. I have
Perfect.
an absolute great
Well,
staff.
you have one problem. She could have picked the timing of the baby just a little bit better.
No, I think it's working out pretty good. You know, the budget's not ready to start and the audit is done, so. She knew exactly what she was doing. And she didn't have Megan yet, so.
All right, so, and the public properties didn't meet, right?
Nope.
They did not.
All right. So, any public comments on village business? Hearing none. The next scheduled meeting, the committee of the whole, is at 6:05, November 14th, I believe.
Oh.
Is that correct?
I always forget to change.
I feel like it's November 14th.
It is.
Okay. All right, we have no reason for closed session. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Knights has made a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Tri. This meeting is, vote. How about all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
A minute to spare, Tim.
Look at that. I know. I was watching for you too.
Bye, Tim.